and try out that rewind feature. My show on your time. Test it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
Good morning, Las Vegas. What's going on? Oh, man. Do we have a show for you today on the Mark Hoke Show, the best in pro wrestling news and entertainment? This is just going to be a weird show. I'm just going to warn everybody right now. Just strange things are afoot encircling the world of pro wrestling, and we're going to have it all for you here as we go through 2 hours on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Also on the Odyssey app. If you have not downloaded the Odyssey app, shame on you. Your ratings are going to drop. So go get it right now. AUDACY. You'll be able to listen to our show on the go. You'll also be able to check out all the great shows on KDAWN and throughout the Odyssey universe. It is a vast one, worth your exploration. So go get that Odyssey app right now. AUDACY. We are also live streaming on X at Mark Hoke Show and on Facebook and YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show. And you can come on into that chat box, say hi, and voice your opinions, whatever you want to do. It's a lot of fun. So come on in and join us. We'd certainly appreciate it. Well, joining me, one of my fine cohorts, brother in coaching arms, as we get him on the show, he is Josh Rosenbaum. Coach Rosey from adfreeshows.com. Coach, what's up?
Happy October. Fall is upon us. The weather's starting to cool down a little bit. Got a week off of school coming up, so life's pretty good. With everything else going on in the world, I'm grateful to be here speaking with you today.
Well, we're very happy to have you, Coach. Yeah, and it's fall. That means it's a tradition for Penn State to choke. By the way, I have to comment on that. I'm rather disgusted at that one, but whatever. Another James Franklin special. But boy, Coach, I'll tell you what a crazy week. Honestly, not a lot of major happenings going on in the ring. There were a few, and we're gonna get to them in a little bit. But you brought up things happening in the world, and the world of politics is touching pro wrestling all over the place. This is nuts. And, the first thing that I wanted to bring up today, and, it's one of the biggest stories in pro wrestling, was what Hangman Adam Page did this week. The AEW World Champion was apparently, and I think we all know that he's a very liberal guy. I think that'd be fair to say. Well, he was a little upset that during Dynamite that ICE commercials were airing. We have those recruitment commercials and the ones that request for illegal immigrants to leave, get on the app and be free to come back later. Well, he put up a post in that amazing place called Blue Sky. Oh, what a cesspool it is. Saying F ICE airing commercials during Dynamite, let them know, and put up links to HBO Max and to TBS Network saying, just tell them you don't want ICE ads. Coach, now he joins Brody King in this anti-ICE campaign that a few of the guys over at AEW have. And I got to tell you, we've talked about this on the show before with politics crashing into wrestling. And I got to say, I can't imagine that HBO and TBS are going to be too happy about this. And given the state of things where, people are, you look at where Donald Trump's ratings are on issues like this, they're very high. People are not liking a lot of what they're seeing. And Coach, I just think this is a bad idea. And I know Tony Khan says he likes to let his people say what they want to say, but this smells like a backfire to me, Coach. They can't afford to lose viewers and fans, and this does not help.
Well, I was taught as well that you usually don't bring up politics or religion in professional wrestling, but times are changing. Whatever side of the political aisle you're on, people definitely have an opinion. I don't like those opinions to come into my wrestling, but in a small way, I respect those two guys. But this is not the venue to be airing your grievances on the show and to be bringing that into it. If that's the way you feel, go out to a rally outside of the AEW spectrum, go put flyers up and, let your feelings be known. But when it comes to wrestling, it's not a really good look. And if you're competing for another television contract with all the way the streaming world is working and the different groups are starting to come together, it can't make Tony happy. But it's awkward. But if that's the way they really feel, then that's the way they feel. Just don't bring it into wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with them having opinions, and certainly we all do have our opinions about what's going on, and I think it's good that people are starting to speak up a little bit, but at the same time, you have to realize your position. Like when we do this show, if I talk about it a little bit, I'm doing a commentary show. That's what we discuss these kinds of things sometimes. But when you're representing your company, you're the AEW World Champion. You're the front guy. And we're looking at what just happened with Netflix here too, which has all these cartoons surfacing that have the trans stuff in it for little kids, and they have lost billions of dollars because of it. I mean, I can't imagine WWE's too thrilled about that either. And I think that they should have known before they went into this deal with Netflix, kind of what they were getting into a little bit, because I knew that they were a very liberal company, and you had some of the stuff that's aired on there has been pretty rough. I mean, this is getting these politics mixed in with your show when everybody is just looking to have an escape, and it just doesn't sit right. Coach,
and it could divide the locker room. You're going to have to assume that there are strong Republicans in the locker room and strong Democrats and strong libertarians. And when you bring this kind of stuff up, you can see how it's dividing the country. It could also divide the locker room where certain guys don't want to work with certain guys, where we could have a flare up like we had with Brawl Out. It's a hot topic, and everybody has an opinion, and everybody is either on one side of it or not. And those feelings can bubble over. And I would hate to have those feelings interrupt what they are, the momentum that AEW has. Last year, it wasn't very good. They're starting to catch back up. They don't need any more hiccups that will bring them back down. They don't have all their horses in the stable right now with injuries and such. So they just need to keep things copacetic, keep things fun, and keep it wrestling.
Yeah. And like I said, I just don't think that while I love Hangman as a performer, I have absolutely enjoyed his work, even, from Ring of Honor way back. And, I enjoy Brody King too. But, there's going to be people out there that are going to say, are you kidding me? And turn it off. And I mean, do you think that Tony's got to make a stand at this point? Because I also do think that, putting up, hey guys, flood the comment sections for HBO and TBS, they're not going to be happy about that either. It's just something that I feel like AEW has got to, without, people can have opinions. Like you said, go out and do your thing elsewhere. But when you involve the networks that are paying the check, man, not good.
Not good. I think Tony will probably, I mean, if I was the CEO or the coach of the team, I'd call him in, have a little conversation with him, tell him, let's nip this in the bud. Let's not let it happen again. If I see it again, then there's going to be some pretty harsh penalties. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't tell the company that's broadcasting your show what they're going to put in their advertisements. I mean, geez, not good. But yeah, this thing that's been going on with Netflix right now too, and they've lost billions of dollars. Like I said, I can't imagine that WWE is too thrilled about this either. And they're getting pulled into it on the other side, and on that side, I don't really think it's deserved when they just had this situation come up where they've been knee deep in Connor's cure and helping out pediatric cancer. And, Donald Trump, the federal government are going to be aiding that cause. And they're getting insulted for it. I mean, the same thing with presidential physical fitness test. And it's like, those are topics that you would think we'd all be able to agree on. Hey, pediatric cancer is bad. Let's help. And so now all of a sudden it's a weird dynamic that AEW is being considered the liberal company and WWE is being considered MAGA, and I don't think it's right either way.
Yeah, labels are divisive. Whatever label you put on somebody, it's not good. Obviously, WWE with Vince was definitely Republican. I think it is as well with TKO. But Tony Khan's never made his feelings felt one way or another politically. So his company's getting a label that might not be true, and that might affect towns. If you're in a city that's very pro ICE, Hangman's going to come out and he's going to be the heel. They don't want that on television.
Nope.
If he's in a very liberal town, he might be over huge. So it might even affect how the crowds react to the world champ, because he's done a good job of creating a storyline that's brought him to the ultimate babyface. And to some people now, he might be the ultimate heel based on those comments.
Yeah. Guys, I gotta be careful out there. There's kind of a line when you throw out your politics that you need to realize that your opinions could be affecting a lot of people. And that's the one thing I don't want to happen to AEW. I just said those guys can do what they want, but I don't want the company damaged. I mean, Coach, you and I both love AEW to death, and Tony Khan and the team are awesome. But I just don't want to see them let this get out of hand, and all of a sudden people are turning it off. So
yeah,
it was an interesting.
I don't know about the Las Vegas school district, but in the Phoenix school district, if we make political statements in the classroom, we're going to get reprimanded, and we probably won't be at work the next day. So that should maybe translate to other companies as well.
Yeah, it's always best. So fascinating things coming out of AEW this week. By the way, in the chat box, guess who's here? The Bionic Scoop.
Scoop, what's up, buddy?
Scoop, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. All right, so let's say let's step back, take a break, and not to be a bummer or anything, but some interesting things are going on with the TV ratings. But viewership, attendance, these numbers are absolutely fascinating to see, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. And by the way, don't forget Steve Maclin coming up in the second hour, so we bring in the former TNA World Champion. So stick around, everybody. We'll be right back.
1015 FM KDAWN. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, let's get back to it. The best in pro wrestling news and entertainment here on the Mark Hoke Show. Once again on 1015 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. Also on the Odyssey app. Download that app right now and you will get chocolate smoothie shakes forever. I don't know what Coach is drinking over there. I'm just kind of taking a pot shot at it. And of course, there you go. And we are streaming on X, YouTube, and Facebook. Just look up the Mark Hoke Show. You'll find us. Oh, Coach, I hate to be more of a downer, but this is some fascinating stuff of what is happening with attendance and ratings. Are you ready, Coach, for numbers?
Bring it on.
Oh, my God. Raw this week, 2.3 million, their worst show on Netflix since they started out on September 30th. SmackDown, their worst ratings in a long time. They had terrible numbers. AEW had their worst number they've had since, I think, the second worst number of all time this week. Embrace yourself on this one, too. SmackDown's live show in Cincinnati was down 5,000 people from the last time they were there. That's a lot. Now, could it possibly be some of this be explained by John Cena's tickets prices are out, Coach? And this is insane. Are you ready for Cena's final match? Fifth row ramp side, $6,500. Second row ramp side, $9,500. The TV ringside package, $11,500. Standard seats, $250 is the base. $3,000 goes up 3,000 on those. Coach, now I will say this, if you did not hear this, they've actually changed how they're doing ratings now, because it used to be what was called panel only, and I want to thank WrestleNomics for a great article on this. That basically took everybody that had a Nielsen meter and pretty much went through and did a representative sample of those households. Well, now they're using what's called big data and panel, which uses massive device level data from set-top boxes and smart TVs, along with what they were previously using. And a lot of people said that the ratings drops are because of this. In fact, they said one show would have had a 0.16, but it got a 1.0. I think it could also be, Coach, because maybe WWE is storytelling's a little blah right now. What's going on? I mean, this is nuts, Coach.
Well, traditionally, the the fourth quarter of the year is the worst business-wise for WWE and other wrestling companies. For one reason or another, people just can't really get into the Survivor Series, and they're kind of waiting for a WrestleMania season. Besides that, the rating system, it's a hard calculation. Mm-hmm. Companies already have their money, so they're looking more for the future, and these numbers will get them their next deal. But the storytelling hasn't been good, and with the amount of entertainment that we have in this world, if you want to watch this documentary or this short series or that, people are just not willing to just watch and doom watch just because they're a WWE fan or an AEW fan. They'll skip a week or they'll tape it. I don't know if DVR counts towards numbers, but I'm not going to Survivor Series coming up. I'm not really interested in it. Usually I go to try to make it to all the major four big time PLEs, but there's not much going on. They haven't really told us much about War Games. It sounds great. I hope it is Team Seth against Team Roman, but give us some tidbits. Give us something to be excited about, because it's not happening.
Yeah, I think there's on WWE's side, I think that it is a combination of the story. The stories have not been that compelling. They're doing some inconsistent booking again. And last week when we were all talking and said, yeah, it reminds me of the 2010s era, and it really does. But I think that they are hurting themselves with a lot of, like the comments that Triple H made after WrestleMania. Well, if you didn't like it, blah, blah, blah. I can't say it on there. You are putting up these crazy ticket prices. And for a place like Cincinnati that is a pretty solid wrestling town, to have a 5,000 person attendance drop has got to be a message. Now, it's funny because on the same side, when you think about it, if you've jacked your ticket prices up, maybe you don't get as many people, but you may make the same amount of revenue. But that's still got to be scary to a point for WWE when they're seeing their worst SmackDown numbers, their worst Raw numbers, and things like this happen. I just feel like that they're doing some things to alienate fans, and they better change their tune real quick. It's gotten, hate to say it, but it's gotten a little arrogant over there at Stamford.
Yeah, the John Cena prices, they're high, but if it truly is John Cena's last match, and you have been an uber fan of John Cena for 25 years, a lot of people will come out of the pocket. I was part of that Ric Flair last match, and people were spending a lot of money to get front row, close to the ramp, close to that, because they want to have one more experience with their hero. I don't think it's great for the common man, but for the person that can just drop $8 to $10,000 on John Cena, they'll pay it because that's their hero. That's
so crazy, though. I mean, I just can't be. I guess it's just me the way I look at money. John Cena, while I would love to be at his last match, is it worth $1,500 to take out of my pocket to spend to see John Cena? No, nope. It's not. I'll just watch it on TV. I'm good.
We haven't had eggs in our house for probably a year because prices have gone up on eggs.
Coach, you're dropping. You got it.
We made that conscious decision that we're not going to pay $6 or $7 for a dozen eggs. So people are going to make a conscious decision with their pocketbook as well.
Yeah. And, like I said, there's the law of diminishing returns. You're going to get to a point on your pricing, where you kind of hit a sweet spot. But I just think they've gone over. And, the combination of, just like, for example, this John Cena story, this retirement tour has been, quite frankly, been botched. And you try to get into it, and then it changes, and you're kind of like, then you see him get beat up by Brock Lesnar. It's like, what are they doing? And they can't seem to find that bloodline type tale to tell to help them get people back. Because I know that when the bloodline was rolling, I normally do record and watch later, but then I was like, man, I don't want to miss this live. I gotta watch it. I want to know. I want to see what's next. There's nothing like that anymore. And Coach, I don't know who or what they're going to be able to do at this point to make that happen. I mean, maybe they'll stumble onto something, which like 8 times out of 10 is what they do. They stumble onto it, but this is just a weird time for WWE.
It's not a weird time for what I think is the best storyline going in wrestling, the NXT TNA invasion. So even though some of them are dropping the ball, that NXT TNA invasion is going to be a heck of a story. So you just kind of shift your viewing to find the storylines that you're really most interested in. And that's what's compelling to me right now. I'm even thinking about flying to Orlando to go see the Hardys try to win those NXT championships against Dark State.
Wow.
Because I'm excited for that.
Yeah, this is going to be, and that kind of leads into where I was going next, was we do have another head-to-head showdown between AEW and TNA coming up on Tuesday with the showdown card, which, by the way, got changed from Invasion because of some considerations of what happened in Israel a couple of years ago. But the NXT TNA Showdown card is coming up on Tuesday. And AEW Title Tuesday is going to be on the same night because they're shifting around for playoffs and all the hockey and NBA openers and stuff. But these are a couple of very interesting cards. Steve Maclin, by the way, you'll hear he is not happy that he's not involved in this. But when you look at the Showdown card, so you got a 4-on-4 men's Survivor Series style match, and it's a fun one. Ricky Saints, Trick Williams, Javon Evans, Miles Bourne are taking on Mike Santana, Frankie Kazarian, Moose, and Leon Slater. That's a great match. The women is JC Jane, Jada Parker, Sol Rocca, Lola Weiss taking on Kehlani Jordan, who still, I think the world is stunned that she won the Knockouts Championship at Victory Road. Jessie McKay, Cassie Lee, of course, the inspiration, and Mara Sadeh in the women's match, and Jordan Grace is going to be the ref on that. You mentioned the Hardys match. They are defending it's going to be winner take all they are the TNA tag champs against Dark State, the NXT tag champs, and Ethan Page gets Mustafa Ali. And how surreal is that going to be to see Mustafa Ali back in the WWE ring? I would have never thought that was going to happen. So that is a pretty captivating card, Coach. I'll give you that.
What's coming on the AEW side? Let's compare and contrast.
Sure, absolutely. So on the AEW side, as soon as I find my little tab, and there it is, AEW Title Tuesday. Oh, actually, I have a better one though, because Wikipedia's only got 3 matches up. Oh, gosh darn it! Give me a second. I apologize.
It's time for TNA to take one of those NXT titles, and in my opinion, the GOATs are going to be getting that title.
Oh,
I don't think they're going to let Mustafa Ali, because he was on a run to get that North American Championship before he was dismissed from the company.
Yeah.
So that even gives it more for the insiders and for the real wrestling fans that have studied this. There's a huge storyline going into that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was on pace to win that, and now he's got a chance.
Oh, that'd be fun. The AEW Title Tuesday card, Mercedes Moné has an open challenge. We've got Kyle Fletcher against Kyle O'Reilly. Pac and Orange Cassidy, Jurassic Express are going to be wrestling, so we'll get to see them for the first time since 2022. A little showdown between Hangman Adam Page and Samoa Joe as they get ready for Wrestle Dream. A double Jeopardy eliminator match with Brodito taking on Okada and Takeshita. That's going to be fun. Mox is taking on Ishii, so those guys will just beat each other up for a while. And the Hurt Syndicate and the Demand in a street fight match. Pretty good card.
Pretty good card, especially when I think the person that's going to be fighting Mercedes is Dakota Kai. I really have a feeling that she's going to be making her AEW debut that night. A lot of matches, a lot of Gaga as a part of that card with all the different stipulations and whatnot. But I would definitely say the more compelling card is that NXT TNA Showdown. You got 4 strong matches with 4 strong storylines that have been developed with some true consequences. The Takeshita tag team match, that's setting up for Wrestle Dream, because I think Okada and Takeshita are going to, combat each other in that tag match. Something's going to happen, and we're going to be blessed to have that match in St. Louis. So the NXT TNA, there's going to be some finishes where I think the AEW card is more setting it up for Wrestle Dream. So if you're on the path to Wrestle Dream, watch that show. If you want to see a showdown where you're going to have some definitive stakes, where some people are going to have some wins and losses, the showdown's for you.
Do you think that tag match is on NXT is going to have a decisive finish? Do you think one team will walk out with both titles?
Yes, I and I'm a homer when it comes to this. if I'm just talking as an analyst, to have the Hardys earn that NXT tag championship is kind of like Thanos putting the final jewel in his glove. They've won every title imaginable in every big company, except for NXT. NXT has been taking the TNA championships for a couple months now, and it's time for the GOATs to turn that around and bring some NXT gold to TNA.
Yeah, it is. It is a very interesting, this invasion angle going on. There's some things I like about it and some things that I don't. In just that, WWE's kind of got control of this thing, so it's not a true invasion per se, but there's some pretty cool stuff going on with that. So I'm going to be tuning in to see what happens with that Hardy's match. But I hope Matt and Jeff walk out of there with those belts, which of course would be getting ready to set things up at Bound for Glory coming up. Do we get the Hardys and the Dudleys for 2 sets of tag titles coming up? No.
It's going to be a great nostalgia match. I think the Hardys will be doing most of the work, and at the end of the night, I think you're going to see Bubba going through a table, and the Hardys being crowned the official GOATs, because there's a big argument. There's a lot of Dudley fans. There's a lot of Hardy fans. But I think when you truly boil down to who the greatest tag team is of all time, it's Matt and Jeff Hardy.
Wow. See, we could fight about that a little bit. As great as they are, and they're probably in the top 5 for sure, you're still not going to take me away from the Midnight Express and the Road Warriors. You can't do it. You can't do it. I just feel like the Express really defined cool tag team wrestling, and the Road Warriors were the Road Warriors. I mean, just the first real, we're going to kill you and kill you some more team. Man, I love the Hardys, but I don't know if I could put them as number 1 per se. Tough debate.
I love both of those tag teams. When you look at the Midnight Express, they had different variations, different partners, and their longevity wasn't very long. And the Road Warriors, they were great. They would destroy people. Was their movesets great? Fair. Were their promos great? Definitely. But they didn't have the longevity that the Hardys have had. You can go anywhere in this world, and people know who Matt and Jeff Hardy are. They got the longest lines at any Comic-Con or autograph show. People know who the greatest are, and that's Matt and Jeff.
All right. We got to get them on the show, man. We got to get them on here sometime.
Got to get another show in Vegas. Let's get Ross Foreman. Let's get another TNA Vegas show, because we showed out during WrestleMania week, and we'll show out again.
There you go. That sounds fantastic. By the way, speaking of showing out, if you want to make some money, there's odds up on some of these matches coming up this week, including that NXT tag team match, where the Hardys are a -700 favorite on betonline.ag. If you want to head on over there, actually go to my site first, markhokeshow.com. Click on the banner so I get credit for you signing up. You put in the code BOL1000, you're going to get a 50% matching bonus up to $1,000, which means if you put in $1,000, you're going to get $500 in your account. That's unbelievable. And you can bet on pro wrestling along with all the football games today, hockey, basketball, and they have everything on here, Coach. You can bet on handball on this site. You can bet on volleyball, table tennis, politics, darts. It's everything, you crazies out there, you darn degenerates. Go out there and go to markhokeshow.com and click on the betonline.ag banner right now and sign up. Put your money in there, man. Let's do it. All right. And when we come back, we got just so much happening. Steve Maclin coming up in the second hour. And, we had a big return on AEW, Coach. We're going to be I don't know. We're going to call him the gigolo of professional wrestling. Stick around, everybody. We've got more on the Mark Hoke Show. We'll be right back.
If you're starting to
FM KDAWN. You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
Oh, Coach, I feel like we may have started a fight on the best tag team of all time.
Oh, yeah?
Had a comment in the chat box. Javon Campbell says, man, I loved the Rockers before the super kick. They were a pretty good team. And I was just kind of looking over some names too. And our boys, the New Day.
Javon Evans. Are you Javon Evans, Javon Campbell? I can't wait for your match against Leon Slater at Bound for Glory.
Oh, that's going to be something. New Day, Hart Foundation. I was a British Bulldogs fan. I really like them. Hardys, Usos. I'm just looking at one top 10 list. Edge and Christian, Road Warriors, Demolition. That's a team that they kind of get forgotten about a little bit, but they had that incredible run in WWE, longest reign until the New Day passed them. The Steiners, fantastic. New Age Outlaws in the top 10. I don't know about that. I don't know. Dudley's, because I would probably pick, say, Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson in the top 10 for sure. But man, that list didn't even have the Midnight Express. Rock and Roll Express not on there. You want to talk about longevity? Jesus. Ricky's still going.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah. So some interesting an interesting battle if we ever really broke that down. Is boy,
and that's the beauty of wrestling, because none of us are wrong. It's all subjective. To me, it's the Hardys. To you, it's the Midnight Express. To Javon, it's the Rockers. And to who knows, to somebody else, it could be the damn Bushwhackers.
Ah!
The beauty of wrestling. You love who you love and you support them.
You know, I still am mad about when Vince brought the Bushwhackers in, because I don't know if you guys remember, but they used to be a team called the Sheepherders, and they were one of the most vicious tag teams of all time. I mean, go back and watch their matches with the Fantastics. Good Lord, they tried to kill each other. And there's another team that should definitely be mentioned there too. I wouldn't call them the best, but they were pretty darn good. But yeah, I remember, but you saw the story. Vince said, I want to make you goofy. And they asked him, well, why'd you guys do it? And they said, well, Vince paid us. So that's the way it goes. But yeah, fascinating debate that we could probably have on who's the greatest tag team of all time. But who is the greatest gigolo of all time, at least for now? I mean, we've seen guys bounce across regions and things like that. But for the first time, we have a professional wrestler who has gone from WWE to AEW to WWE to AEW. Man, it's like Archie, Court, and Betty and Veronica as Andrade shows up this week. And what was amazing was no messing around. Gets right in there. He's with the Don Callis family and goes after Kenny Omega of all people. So Andrade not playing, and he's back in AEW, Coach. What do you think? How good is this going to be for Andrade?
Saves him. He was going to be down in Mexico doing, the lucha matches, which definitely would have, paid the bills and brought him some notoriety. But, and Andrade's a great worker. When he has his head on straight, he's phenomenal. He's his moveset, his body, his physicality, his entrance. But the thing is he in his right mind? And I hope he is, because I enjoy Andrade. And I'm excited, and I popped huge when he came out. I mean, because it was a complete surprise. They really did a good job of holding that tight to the vest. And we'll see what happens. Wrestle Dream will be interesting. They'll give him a match, and we'll see if he wins and if they give him that push.
Yeah, the guy is so talented, and reports were coming out that he had multiple wellness violations with WWE, which is why they let him go. And you got to wonder what's kind of going on with him. Now we know that he and Charlotte went through that divorce. I'm sure that didn't help things, but it is interesting that they, because they did an outright release, there's no 90-day clause on that. So I don't think anybody was thinking that Andrade was going to show up back in AEW. And by the way, he trashed Dave Meltzer online. I mean, real bad. Just let him have it about his last departure from AEW, because he said it was, amicable. No problem. There wasn't any issues. Just, time to move on. But the man's potential to get to the top, like you said, I think it's a lot of, is his head on straight. And because you hate to see a guy as talented as him kind of fall into that Davey Boy Smith, Jake Roberts kind of category where you want to put the guy on top. You want to make him a world champion, but you just don't feel like you can risk it. And I kind of wonder if and where that's going to end up for Andrade with all this.
I hope he does have his head on straight. I believe in giving people second chances. And who knows really if all those wellness violations that are being reported are legit. There's always three sides to the story: the news, the people that were there, and then it's somewhere in the middle.
Right.
So I'm hoping that the stories we heard weren't true about Andrade. He's got his head on straight, and he's going to do big things in AEW.
Yep. And one more thing that I know you brought up, we were talking about it before the show, about the Rock's movie, the Smashing Machine. It did not do well this weekend, Coach. I think the box office was around 5 million, and it cost him 50 million to make that. And I'm just like, wow, that for A24, the same people that did the Iron Claw movie, that's a lot of coin, and to come up that short on opening weekend, boy, this is I just don't. The Rock has been struggling with some of his movies lately, and you kind of got to wonder, when does the tap run dry for Dwayne if he keeps having box office bombs like this?
Well, you can always come home to WWE. We'll take him back anytime. I love it when The Rock's in the ring cutting promos. But I did on Thursday night, I went to go see the movie. Couldn't talk my wife into seeing it because it is kind of a niche story. She doesn't know anything about UFC, and especially about a guy that in the 90s, Mark Kerr. The movie, it was okay. The performance by The Rock, tremendous. But the style of the movie, the documentary style, is kind of based off the HBO documentary. It was a different kind of movie. It tried to come across as if we're watching a documentary, but we were really in a movie theater watching a feature film. I enjoyed it, but The Rock's performance was fabulous. And if you are a fan of UFC, go out and see the movie. It's good. But if you're not, then wait for it to come on streaming. But I did feel bad for the crew that they only made $5 million because it was pushed so hard. I mean, if you're ever on Instagram or Twitter, every other ad was about the Smashing Machine recently. So
yeah, definitely was. Well, Coach, I hate to lose you for hour number 2, but I know you have been flying around and getting crazy and doing all sorts of weirdo stuff that you do. But of course, ad-free shows, got to catch you on there, right?
Yeah, we got a Top Guy weekend in 2 weeks. So if you're in St. Louis, check us out. I'll be in St. Louis for Wrestle Dream and Jeff Jarrett and Tony Schiavone's comedy show. It's going to be a fun weekend, and we got some huge events planned. So check us out at Ad Free Shows.
Sounds good. Well, Coach, thanks for being with us. And when we come back, hour number 2 of the Mark Hoke Show, Steve Maclin from TNA is going to be joining us. Well, we went all over the world with him, so look forward to hearing from Steve Maclin of TNA. Should be a lot of fun. Stick around, everybody. Hour 2 of the Mark Hoke Show coming up. Want more of the Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show. Like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show. And visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join the Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.
The Las Vegas Book Festival returns to downtown
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Las Vegas. This is the Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Going bell to bell with the best in professional wrestling news, entertainment, and lots of Sin City surprises from inside the squared circle. Now, let's get to all the exciting pro wrestling action and bring on the host. Here is Mark Hoke.
All right, it's hour number 2 of the Mark Hoke Show. You betcha. Thanks for being with us. We certainly do appreciate it. It's the best pro wrestling news and entertainment on KDAWN, 101.5 FM. The Talk Las Vegas. Actually, it's over there somewhere. There it is, over the shoulder on the live stream. If you're not watching on the live stream, well, shame on you. You get to ask questions and interact with the show. It's pretty fun. So make sure you hop on there at Mark Hoke Show on X and YouTube and Facebook, the Mark Hoke Show. We'd certainly like to have you join us there. Of course, we're on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Download that app, and a lonely child will find a new friend. I don't know. There's just all sorts of great things happens when you download it. So get that Odyssey app right now. We would certainly appreciate it. All right. So we need to get right into this because we got a chance to sit down with a guy that I've been waiting to get on the show for a long time, a fascinating individual from TNA. Some of you may have know him as Deonna Purrazzo's husband, but of course, we all know him as Steve Maclin, the former TNA World Champion and the inaugural TNA International Champion. Very thrilled to have him join us as we're getting ready for Bound for Glory coming up on October 12th out of Lowell, Massachusetts. And that card, of course, it is TNA's WrestleMania. So brace yourselves. It is going to be one hell of a night. And we got to talk to Steve about that and a whole lot more. So what do you say we hear from Steve Maclin?
All right, everybody, we are back on the Mark Hoke Show and very excited. I've been waiting to get this guy on the show for a long, long time. Just an incredible talent, great guy, former Marine, and we welcome in the former TNA World Champion and the inaugural TNA International Champion, Steve Maclin's in the house. What's going on, Steve?
What's going on, Mark? Nope, there's always a former champion, never a former Marine, just so you know. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
You know, I've got a lot of military in my family, and I am going to get nailed for miswording.
No, you're good. I'm just busting your chops. I promise you. It's
all good. All good. Well, Steve, it has been an interesting ride for you lately in TNA, but unfortunately, just lost that international championship. Bound for Glory's coming up here. We've got that on Sunday, October 12th. Coming at you from the Tsongas Center in Lowell, Massachusetts. What's the plan, man?
The plan is to have my rematch with Frankie Kazarian for my TNA International Championship. I dropped it to him at Victory Road with a little bit of a distraction and interference from El Macias from AAA. So my goal is heading into BFG at Lowell, Mass, getting back my International Championship, and then taking that with me across the border down to Mexico and kicking some ass down there.
This has been such a crazy time for TNA.
Yeah.
The working with NXT and WWE. Now you've got AAA coming into this thing too. But what has it been like in this situation with NXT and working with WWE? I imagine that the locker room has changed a little bit with all these new people coming in, and you never know what's going to happen.
That's just it. You never know what's going to happen. There's a lot of what ifs or when. It's not a what if game as much anymore in the world of pro wrestling across all the companies. It's just like, when could this possibly happen? And that's one of the coolest things for me as a talent and being a part of that. But also I can imagine for fans to just witness that, just because it's just like, oh, wow, there's this dream match possibility. This could possibly happen if this working relationship is working that way. And it's just fun on our end. But for me, I have such a history with WWE and NXT. And for my time there for almost over 7.5 years, I was there 6.5 in NXT, and then the one being on SmackDown. There's so much history and such a story there still left to tell. So when that time does come, post the showdown that's going to happen on October 7th before Bound for Glory on NXT, I'm curious where we get to on that.
Was it a little weird stepping back in that building?
Yeah, a few weeks ago it was cool. It was weird at first just because I lived in that building. I was there Monday through Saturday a lot of the times, every morning at 8 a.m. And I made a lot of friends, a lot of good relationships, a lot of teachers and mentors that I've learned from, a lot of talent that I've learned from, like a Bobby Roode and Samoa Joe that have come from elsewhere at that time when NXT was at that boom and it hit that level of just skyrocketing. And I saw how they came in and transformed themselves into that system, and I learned a lot. Especially coming from TNA to there, and then me going the opposite from NXT and WWE to TNA. So it's a lot of different similarities, a lot of comparisons to go off of. But it was just it was cool to see a lot of familiar faces.
What was it like when you guys at TNA heard about this relationship was going to take place? And I can imagine there were a lot of maybe mixed feelings to a point, but when this first came down, what were you guys thinking?
Let's see where it goes. I think as a talent, you can only control what you can control, and that's above our pay grade in a sense. That's up in the higher echelon of I guess the promoters, bookers, investors, all that's taken care of on that end. Like Carlos Silva is the one that deals with all that now. That's his job. And I don't envy that, but I also love to throw him a few ideas here or there. Like, hey, this could possibly happen. This could be an idea. And that's then on us as talent to pitch ideas that could possibly work to make the company money, get more eyes on both. And that's also what the relationship is doing too. It's bringing more eyes to the TNA product with the rebrand. Once TNA Wrestling had that rebrand, it was just that bubble burst finally, because Impact Wrestling at the time, people were talking about it and it was like a buzz. It was kind of like that quiet chip on the shoulder underdog company. And then once TNA Wrestling came back with the rebrand, we hit the ground running. We haven't stopped.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing to see what TNA's been doing. And, even before this relationship with WWE, you guys were on a roll. I mean, I think everybody was just looking at it and starting to see the attendance build up, more buzz on the street. And, you were a big part of that. I mean, you got to be feeling good about what you as a talent and then as a group have done at TNA.
I love my home of TNA right now. And it's funny to be on this side of actually one of the top talents in TNA, then one of the pillars, as you could say it, of TNA, and being a part of that rise. Because I was on the opposite side of it in NXT, like I was saying before, when like Samoa Joe, a Bobby Roode, a Kevin Steen, a Finn Balor, Hideo Itami, or a Kenta, Shinsuke Nakamura, like all these talents were coming in from elsewhere into NXT, and I was on the sidelines. So I got to watch that rise then, and that bubble burst in NXT, and now being on the flip side of it with TNA Wrestling, being one of the top talent there, and being one of the main players, it's such a fun experience and cool to be a part of, because I've seen it and I'm like, okay, now this is how I want to do it. How can I implement myself into these situations?
You're going to be in a lot of situations, because first we've got that, excuse me, the showdown card coming up.
Yeah.
That's going to be a wild night. And, nobody would have thought that was going to happen 2 years ago. Tell us a little bit about what we should expect from that evening and how you guys are feeling about it.
I'm hoping for the best for Team TNA and everybody involved. Obviously, I'm not there. I wasn't picked on the team, which kind of makes me wonder what's going on in that situation of, I don't know. I guess not all soldiers in a way or Marines are going to go to fight the war at the same time. So I guess I'll just sit and wait for something a little bit bigger on that end. But I got my fingers crossed. Team TNA will do their thing, and we'll see what comes out of that.
There's nothing saying you can't sneak in the building. I'm sure you got some camos sitting around, right?
Can't say I don't have friends that work there. I don't have my key card still from when I did work there. So,
yeah, you might find your way in there. We'll see. But outside of the ring, one thing that I thought was really cool was I watch Fox News a lot, and I've been seeing you all over the place with the Tunnels to Towers Foundation, and it's terrific to see you working with them. Tell us a little bit about that relationship and what they do.
It's so awesome to be working with Tunnel to Towers and working with Frank Siller, who made the foundation after his brother Steven Siller, who was lost on 9/11, who just is a hero. If you talk about heroes and people that with that ultimate sacrifice and people you want to aspire to be like or just drive to be like it, he's one of those people. Because that day he just did the most selfless thing. When the towers were hit, he packed up his equipment and then he hit the tunnel and then he climbed the tower and got up there to try to save as many people as he can. And now I've got to experience the same path. Obviously, I didn't make the sacrifice, but I got to have that moment of climbing the tower back in June at the World Trade Center 1. the Freedom Tower, doing the 110 stories. And then I just did the 5K this past Sunday with Tunnel to Towers. And it was just something that I've never been a part of, something so emotional as a veteran. And to do that for the first mile and a half, you're going through the tunnel. It's hot, humid. There's music playing. People are pushing each other to get through. And then once you came out that tunnel, there's FDNY, NYPD, all wearing banners of those that have been lost, American flags. And you have Air Force, Navy, Army, Marine Corps, cadets from West Point, just all walks of life. Didn't matter. Everything was just the same feeling it felt after 9/11, with that unity, that patriotism, that camaraderie. It made me remember what I knew I was fighting for when I did in Afghanistan, why I wanted to go enlist in the Marine Corps, why I wanted to go fight. Because that pullout in Afghanistan, it wasn't the greatest way of possible of doing it. I know people have their different opinions on it, and I have my own, but I think I'm allowed to have my own opinion on it. And it kind of felt like a slap in the face, but at the same time, being able to do things like this and see moments like this really instilled why I still love what I do in my country and the freedoms we have to be able to do what we do. And T2T, just, it's such a great organization to bring to. And what they do for first responders and families, paying off mortgages of family members that have been lost. Because at the end of the day, people forget, like, there's still people that have to live after somebody passes away and have to deal with that with their spouse and their family and their kids. And then also taking care of the veteran community with homelessness. They're building homelessness in these smart homes for veterans with disabilities that are coming home that don't have the luxuries of being able to just get back into normal life. And it's something so great that my wife and I get to be a part of.
One thing that does bother me that happens a lot in our country is that I don't feel like we take care of our veterans enough. That, we do see a lot of homeless veterans. I mean, I'm driving around Las Vegas all the time, and there they are. And it's pretty sad to see. What do we need to do to help our vets?
That's also what my wife and I are trying to do. It's like, now we have a platform and a voice. We've been doing wrestling long enough to where now I can go out and try to just use my voice, my experience in the wrestling world, but also my military time and what I see and what also that I deal with in the VA system and having to deal with that. So now it's just helping as much as we can, and it's going to t2t.org. You can donate there. It's $11 a month. I'm not trying to plug this. If you want to do it, do it. If not, find a way to just help a veteran, talk to a veteran when you see him on the streets or at a restaurant, a bar. Like, a lot of the times I talk to vets in the gym. I love just hearing their story, who they served with, because it's the most uplifting thing sometimes when you can just have a voice or just talk to someone, because they're just looking for someone to talk to. Especially when I go to the VA and I have my own medical appointments I have to deal with. I just talk to vets while I'm there because they don't really talk to many people. People keep everything so bottled up inside. And that's one thing I think you can do just without having to spend any money or donate money, is just have a voice and ear just to listen to anybody.
I would imagine that, you're going back to school now and you're focused on psychology and mental health. And what you brought up about how veterans really do bottle something, you can kind of tell with having a lot of veteran friends and family. I know what this is kind of like to deal with. I would imagine that impacted your choice on what you wanted to study in school.
Yeah, so I'm taking a break right now. Just my schedule's been just crazy, so I've had to kind of put that on the back burner for a little bit. But getting back to it is my goal, is to finish my degree in psychology at some point. Once wrestling kind of slows down and I stop being so busy, I can put all my chips in one basket on that one. But it kind of, when I was let go from WWE, is kind of where I was realizing, oh wow, I need a degree, because when I was applying to jobs at the VA and I was having to deal with appointments at the VA, a lot of the civilians that are in those positions aren't veterans, and they're not a voice that understands. And a lot of the times for me, it's like, I just wanted a normal person to me is somebody that's experienced the same things that I have, if that makes sense. Not to say they're not good at their job, but like, you don't know what I'm going through. But if I'm talking to a vet and if you came to me with the same problem, I can kind of give you a little bit better advice or help you in the proper way, or learn how to handle it a little bit better than a regular civilian would in that position. But so that's kind of what made me want to realize, like, okay, maybe I can be a voice or an ear just for somebody to listen to, and use that to my ability by getting the degree in that and understanding a little bit more.
And of course, you went over to Afghanistan for 2 tours. I can only imagine how crazy that was. Wow.
I always tell everybody my experience is everything I wanted in the Marine Corps. The day I went to the recruiter, I said I want to leave this date. It was right after Thanksgiving in 2007. I want to be infantry. I like just sign me up. When do I leave? And when can I leave? Can I leave this date? And I was a recruiter's dream that day because I gave him everything he ever wanted. He didn't have to sell me on anything. I knew what I wanted to do. And I loved every bit of it. It's helped me so much in my life. I'm blessed that nothing, knock on wood, ever happened to me over there or even here back in the States, because that's also another thing we have to deal with too, is coming home after the war. And a lot of people are still fighting that struggle and dealing with that. And that's, again, a lot of the things we see with homeless vets. And I try to help out on that end too, is just how do we help the war back here at home that people are not adjusting well into society.
And of course, we're on the Mark Hoke Show here with Steve Maclin from TNA, with Bound for Glory coming up here on October 12th. That starts at 4 p.m., by the way, our time. So make sure you're all settled in on TNA Plus, ready to go on that. Oh, I did not know this about you. You're a comic book guy, huh?
I am a comic book fan, yes.
That, one thing that I realized a couple years ago, because I've been watching wrestling for 40 plus years, was because my love for comic books. I think that I enjoy pro wrestling so much because you're bringing those personalities and those superheroes to life in pro wrestling. And I never really connected it until a little while ago. Do you kind of feel the same way about that?
Yeah, it's one thing like that I learned even being WWE for so long, and you come up with a character and it's okay, how do I make this character me? And it's the same as an actor would do. It's like, how can I best put things that I've experienced in my life or my own attributes and personality into this person and make it my own. And that's pretty much what I've done in wrestling. I did it when it was with the Forgotten Sons. I tried to take the story of from Sons of Anarchy with Jax Teller and Opie as best friends. That's how I based me and Blake starting out as a tag team. We met in a bar. Okay, that's where we met. All right, what's our backstory, and just in between each other, like how do we click? And then you just kind of roll that way. And it's the same thing. I had ideas for myself as a singles wrestler for so long, and then when I got let go, I went back to my notes and my notepad. All right, the Punisher was a big thing on television at that time with Marvel, with John Brenthal as the actor for him, and I saw a lot of me in that role, and then even a lot in Captain America I take from Chris Evans on the Captain America series. All right, there's some little instillments in that where it's not so much forced America down your throat and waving the flag. I'm like, there's realism to it, and there's real patriotism without having to shove it down people's throats. How can I make that me? And it's just finding that little way of getting into there, and then also turning my personality up to an 11.
Now, of course, most people should know that you're married to one of the most amazing wrestlers in the world, Deonna
Yes.
Purrazzo. That terrific person too. I got the interview him. Yeah, that's been a couple of years now. Boy, time flies.
Time does fly.
What is it like to be a wrestling family? Because I can imagine that there's it's fun in a way because you have somebody to talk to, but at the same time, you're split up a little bit.
Yeah, we have our time. Like, obviously, we're distant right now for a day, but like we've been traveling together. We make it work the best we can when we can be on the road together. If not, we appreciate the time when we do have together, and we don't waste a single second. And for us together, it's the best as a wrestling couple, just because it's always wrestling on television. It's always ideas being thrown at each other, and then just honest criticism too, because that's what you look for in anything in a relationship, is that honesty. And being married, you want to be honest, but then also in the wrestling world, you want that as a friend, a mentor, a relationship that you have, for honest criticism. What could be better? What could I say better in promos? What could I say better on interviews like this? Like, she always tells me, remember your 5 C's. I'm like, okay, yes, because my vernacular isn't the best sometimes, and my brain starts to kind of go different routes, and I just speak my mind, and I kind of speak from the heart that way. But then also for us to just starting a podcast with Boots to Boots, and that was her idea of using my superpower, that she likes to call it, of being a military vet and transitioning from the military into the civilian world and then putting on a pair of wrestling boots. What was that story like? And then now that's kind of been birthed into its own idea of a podcast where we're sitting down together. We're telling our story in the first 3 episodes that we've done so far, which episode 3 is out now. If you don't follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and at YouTube, and then also on Twitter, or on X, I'm sorry. I always mess up X and Twitter.
We all do. It's all good.
Yeah. On X, on Instagram, and also on TikTok, Boots to Boots Pod. and it's been fun so far, and we're looking forward to getting episodes out with interview guests that we have, just because people always deal with that transition in life where one job ends or one career ends or a part of your life ends, and you have to put on a different pair of boots and go a different path, and you're at that crossroads, and what am I going to do? And nobody ever talks about that transition, or nobody ever like has an example to give to people. So that's what we're there for, as an ear and a voice, just to, if you have a problem in that world or you have a story in that world, we're trying to get it out there.
Well, there's a big story coming up on October 12th, or Bound for Glory, and this card is just all over the place. You know, you're looking to take your international title back, but there's so much more on this card too. Tell everybody a little bit about what they can expect from TNA's biggest card of the year.
So we're trying to top what we did at Slammiversary, and that was the biggest North American gate in TNA wrestling history, and that was at UBS Arena. Now we're doing that in Lowell, Mass on October 12th for Bound for Glory, where we're trying to pack that place with every butt and every seat. Complete sellout. You have myself going after Frankie Kazarian, the so-called king of TNA, to get my international championship back. You have Mike Santana possibly taking the TNA title back home from Trick Williams. You have Leon Slater is versus Javon Evans for the X Division championship. And then you have one final tables match between the Dudleys and the Hardys. And that's one I know if I'm on earlier, I'm going to sneak out in the crowd, or if I'm on later, I'm going to sneak out in the crowd to watch, just because those are four people that I watched growing up. And I said it at the last tapings when we were up in Minnesota to Jeff, where I was just like, it's very surreal to me after you guys just cut that promo, where I remember watching in WrestleMania, or not WrestleMania, Royal Rumble 2000 at From the Garden, where they had their first tables match, where this all kind of just started. And I was like, it's kind of crazy to be sitting here in the locker room with you, but then also seeing that 25 years ago. And it's a surreal moment as a talent and be a part of. Working with them at the same time too, and then to share the ring with them is even cooler, but then also just to witness it and see what the fans see that 25 years later, when I was a teenager at that time, seeing it at that time.
Well, it's going to be an amazing day. Bound for Glory coming up on Sunday, October 12th, 4 p.m. Pacific. They're going to be in Lowell, Massachusetts, and you better tune in, or Steve's a machine gunner. Don't forget that. So be careful.
I don't know if you put it that way. It's not, that's the most politically correct way to put that. It's like, no, if you don't watch it, that's your own fault. But the best part is, if you do miss it on October 12th, you can go back and watch it on the TNA Plus app.
Yeah,
But
it's going to be
live on the TNA Plus app that night. If you don't, then I will probably hunt you down and knock on your door and yell at you to your face.
Fair enough.
Or my wife will. Maybe my wife will. That's somebody you don't want to deal with.
No, I would agree with that wholeheartedly, Steve Maclin. Well, hey, I want to thank you for coming on the Mark Hoke Show. I really do appreciate it, and have been a long admirer of you, and I want to thank you for your service to our country. It's much appreciated, and we're going to look forward to seeing you at Bound for Glory, sir. Should be fun. Where can everybody find you on social media, by the way?
At Instagram, Steve Maclin, or on Instagram, at Steve Maclin, on X, Steve Maclin, Boots to Boots Pod as well. Please like, subscribe, share everything. Boots to Boots. Episode 3 just dropped this past week. Episode 4 comes out this Monday. Please leave us a comment, review. Let us know what you think. Let us know any questions or guests that you have. And then also anything Steve Maclin bulletproof merch you want to get, it's at tnamerch.com. And also tune in to Bound for Glory October 12th, Lowell, Massachusetts, live. And it's on the TNA Plus app.
All right, Steve. Well, good luck to you. Hope you get that title off Frankie. And I know he's a huge pain in the butt. So, all right. Well, thanks for coming on, and we'll look forward to seeing you Bound for Glory, sir.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
You got it.
All right, there you go, everybody. Steve Maclin, what a great guy! I'll tell you. Fantastic person. Served our country very well, and he's a hell of a professional wrestler too. And Bound for Glory is going to be awesome. So make sure you check that out once again, October 12th. On the TNA Plus app. And we got to get to a break, as of course we had that interview with Steve, and took a little extra time. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about, oh my God, what is going on with this Bad Bunny thing? And a son of a legend made his debut this weekend. We'll tell you who that was and a whole lot more. We return on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the Talk of Las Vegas.
This is the Mark Hoke Show.
The Mark Hoke Show.
Here again, your host, Mark Hoke.
All right, let's keep this party going on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. And do want to remind everybody, it's open enrollment period, and you need to get your health insurance, your life insurance, and everything squared up. So don't screw around and give my friend Pat Casal a call at the Multicare Group. He's going to take great care of you, especially if you're a pro wrestler, that you're an independent contractor, and you need that, or you're in the media, or just someplace that you can't get medical benefits. I'm telling you, Pat is going to have you covered. Great pricing on all of your insurance needs. And all you got to do is give him a call real quick. 702-286-1014, 702-286-1014. And the website is themulticaregroup.com. And just reach out to Pat. Best way to do him is get him personally. Once again, it's 702-286-1014. Health insurance, dental insurance, life insurance. Plus, if you run a business and you need to get your benefits packages set up, Pat's got you covered on that too. So once again, check it out at themulticaregroup.com. Pat Casal, P-A-T, and last name is C-A-S-A-L-E, 702-286-1014. Boy, it has been an interesting week, hasn't it? We talked in the first hour about what was going on with Hangman Adam Page and him thinking that he can tell our friends over at TBS and HBO what to advertise and getting super political. Probably not the best decision. And, of course, we're seeing all these ratings changes, with Nielsen revising how they're doing ratings. Everybody's ratings dropped. But the worst viewed episode of Netflix so far happened this Monday. It has just been a weird week for pro wrestling. And, I don't think anything's dying or anything like that, but certainly I do think the WWE has been making some bad moves. These John Cena ticket prices are just insane. The cheapest ticket in the house is $250, and then you start getting down by ringside, and that TV ringside package is $11,500. Ooh, that's nuts. $250 to $3,000 for general seating. I don't know what WWE's doing, but then they're wondering why SmackDown had 5,000 less people at it in Cincinnati than they did the last time they were there. And, I do think it is a combination of the ticket prices and just, things aren't as compelling as they were the last few years. And WWE had the big story with the Bloodline and Cody coming in, and, it just carried the day, but now you got to find your way again. And just some questionable choices. Just not handling this John Cena situation very well at all. And man, I'll tell you, if I were John, they've already advertised that last match in December. But as a fan, considering how crazy this whole thing got, I wouldn't mind seeing him going through WrestleMania. I really wouldn't. But I doubt he's going to do it, especially when you're selling tickets for $11,000 plus for his final match. Good God. That is nuts. Speaking of nuts, Bad Bunny has lost his mind. We had a very, very interesting discussion about this on one of the shows that I produce during the week here on KDAWN, the Steve Sanchez show, which is on 3 to 6 p.m. Pacific, that, Bad Bunny just went from being pretty cool to wearing dresses and a lot of satanic themed stuff, just some weird things that man's been doing the last couple of years. But he was selected to do the halftime show, and a lot of people are upset about it because of the way he's been acting the last few years. And then he got on Saturday Night Live last night and did a monologue in Spanish and basically told everybody, screw you guys. If you want to know what I'm going to be saying, you better learn Spanish quick. What happened to you, Bad Bunny? What happened? Man, this is a long way from the Booker T song. And he's deserving of some of this. What? Come on, man. You used to be cool and hip, and now you're out wearing poofy pink. Oh. But what'll be interesting is that if WWE ever decides to bring him back, it's a risk. I mean, people are demanding that they get a new halftime show host. And I know the Turning Point USA is actually going to be putting on their own halftime show, which I have a feeling more people are going to watch. Maybe. I mean, you're on the Super Bowl, so that might be pushing it. But they'll get a significant viewership, I'll tell you that. Now, Bad Bunny, what the heck? What the heck? By the way, our good friend, Killer Cross. Kids, he is back in MLW, if you can believe it. So Killer Cross is getting back to some of his roots there at MLW. They had a hype package on last night's Slaughterhouse event, revealing his return, making his comeback at next month's event on November 20th in Charleston, South Carolina, according to Cultaholic, in what will be a collaboration with Don Got Tequila, which will be entitled Lucha de los Muertos. Why does everybody got to die? I know that in Spanish, Bad Bunny. But looks like Cross is going to be back there. By the way, for those of us in Vegas, he's going to be back here too. And I know that we cannot wait to see Cross back in a ring here. And it's not much longer after that. He's going to be on the Luck of the Draw card on November 23rd, starting at 5 p.m. at the Silverton Casino. So brace yourselves for that, everybody, as Cross returns to his home here in Las Vegas. We're going to look forward to seeing Mr. Cross and Scarlett doing their thing at that FSW card. Should be a huge night. But Killer Cross making a return to Las Vegas and making his return to MLW. So looking forward to seeing that. We also had a debut last night, and boy, this was a big one. We all know that when Sting retired and did his thing at Revolution, that he had his kids involved. Well, Stephen Borden made his debut last night in New York, or Friday night, excuse me. So Darby Allin apparently hosted an art exhibit in New York titled F52W Hardway. This event had wrestling matches with a main event. To get the how would you like to be doing this little art exhibit thing with a few wrestling matches, and all of a sudden Cross comes out with teaming with Darby Allin to take on JD Drake and the debut of Stephen Borden. Ka-ching. So Darby Allin got the win, did a coffin drop on top of Borden and Drake to get the pin. I don't think Darby was putting somebody else over on this event. But look out, kids, as the little Stinger, but he's not so little. Boy, his son's turned out huge. Wow. But Stephen Borden makes his debut yesterday, and Darby's been training him, and man, good luck to him. I can't wait to see him, and I feel very safe in saying that when he's ready, he will be a stalwart in AEW. Highly doubt he would be a WWE guy. But should be a lot of fun to see the progression of Stephen Borden as we keep things rolling in professional wrestling. And we are going to step back and take a break. On the side, just a whole lot of interesting news. Like, for example, what's Cedric Alexander up to? AEW has re-signed another great female performer. We had a tag team breakup, and a prominent wrestling journalist got mauled this weekend. Who was that? Well, we'll answer those questions and a whole lot more here on the Mark Hoke Show on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the Talk of Las Vegas. Stick around, everybody.
on. You're listening to the #1 professional wrestling radio show in Vegas, The Mark Hoke Show. The Mark Hoke Show. Now, here again is Mark Hoke.
All right, let's do this one more time. Best in pro wrestling news and entertainment on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas, also on the Odyssey app. Stream that, all those great shows from KDAWN, plus a whole lot more. You'd be stunned when you download that Odyssey app. I promise you, it might not be like a stone cold stunner, but it will be a thrill for you. I promise. So get that app, AUDACY. We are also live streaming on X, YouTube, and Facebook. You can follow us on X at Mark Hoke Show. Subscribe and like on Facebook and YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show. We would certainly appreciate that. All right. So apparently, Cedric Alexander, who had signed with TNA, it was only a short-term contract, everybody. Very short. So he's available. And the Hurt Business guys, the Hurt Syndicate, excuse me, they want him in there so bad. They are begging AEW to sign Cedric Alexander. Why wouldn't you? Man, you get the gang back together. That'd be all right. I mean, MVP can't be the third man forever. So if he's free, he's talented, he's a great guy, do it. Let's get Cedric Alexander back on board here with the Hurt Syndicate. That would be fantastic. AEW was a little busy signing another contract, by the way, because Hikaru Shida, former women's champ, who had been stuck in Japan because of her work visa, well, she got it straightened out and at the same time signed a new contract. So congratulations to Hikaru Shida as she will continue on her journey with AEW. So that's pretty exciting. Looking forward to seeing her back on AEW TV. And I really do like Hikaru. She is just incredibly talented. She's got a lot of charisma, beautiful woman. And, she's definitely a great person to have on that AEW women's roster, no doubt. So excited to see that Hikaru Shida is back with AEW. Some people that are not back together, and as disaster has struck on SmackDown, Miz and Carmelo Hayes. Did I say Carmelo Anthony? My God. I've been doing too much politics and sports. Carmelo Hayes have broken their tag team up. They are a unit no more. Thank God. Nothing against the Miz. Everybody knows I like the Miz. But it is time for Melo. What are you doing? In an organization that has not had a black wrestler have a singles match for about a year and a half plus. Come on. Melo, don't miss. And I know everybody's kind of on the Javon Hayes bandwagon, but oh my God, Melo is so good. Get this guy a push and let's get him rolling. Finally, what are you waiting for, WWE? I still don't understand why he's been held down so badly on this main roster. I don't get it. So how about we get a little Melo going and see what happens, shall we? That would be all right. Oh, some legal news on a couple of ends, by the way, if you didn't hear about these stories. Kevin Kelly and the Tate twins, if you don't know who the Tate twins are, they used to be the boys for Dalton Castle. They had a court case against AEW, and their appeal has been dismissed. A June 2025 ruling ordered their case to go into arbitration. And then they lost this review. So they've had filed a lawsuit against AEW, Tony Khan, and Ian Riccaboni on August 30th. So the former announcer and the two wrestlers alleged defamation, and they were seeking to void the arbitration clause in their AEW talent contracts and wanted the court to certify a class action lawsuit against AEW over the alleged misclassification of AEW wrestlers as independent contractors. So this could have had some serious long-reaching effects had this gone around. Kelly was also looking for some little extra coin against Riccaboni, saying that Riccaboni defamed him, but their suit has gone by the boards. So Kevin Kelly and the Tate twins losing out on that one. Also, in the courtroom side, oh God, we really have to say this name. John Laurinaitis, Johnny Ace. He and assistants of Vince McMahon have been subpoenaed as part of an ongoing shareholder lawsuit against the former chairman. McMahon was named a defendant in a lawsuit by WWE stockholders over the sale of the company to Endeavor. And the plaintiffs, led by the Ohio Laborers Pension Fund, are accusing McMahon of orchestrating the WWE UFC merger in order to consolidate power and put his own interests above those of the shareholders. Nick Khan, Paul Levesque, and former board members George Barrios and Michelle Wilson were also named as defendants. So John Laurinaitis and personal assistants Paul Mangieri and Michael Mangieri have been subpoenaed for documents. So look out, kids. Everybody keeps thinking that Vince McMahon's going to be back. It's not happening. I mean, you can never say never in professional wrestling, but this is the business side of it. And between all the lawsuits with the women and, what's going on with Janelle Grant, this man, he is untouchable right now. No way. So more fun for Vince McMahon and more fun for Johnny Ace. Ugh. Boy, did John Laurinaitis just seem like a skis bag? I mean, wow. Ugh, just, yeah. We also, by the way, had this week an attack on a pro wrestling journalist. Shame on Shotzi, you bad girl. But I guess it's not so bad. She was at a show with Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful, and Shotzi got him. Game of Stunner, see ya. Sean Ross Sapp and Sean, brother, I love you, but the cell, I don't know. I'm going to give you about a 4.5. He stood up. I don't know. It just kind of went up vertical, and it didn't. Yeah, there wasn't the explosive whoa. It was more like wow, boom. So yeah, but Sean Ross Sapp taking the hit, and congratulations to Shotzi as she destroys another human being on the independent circuit. All right, and we are, by the way, getting ready coming up. Man, we are not far out, and we've got this big NXT TNA showdown coming up on Tuesday and Title Tuesday for AEW. So get ready for that. And then we've also got Crown Jewel coming up this Saturday, coming to you from Perth, Australia. And right now, that card features Cody Rhodes taking on Seth Rollins. So the two world champions will face off for the Crown Jewel title. Stephanie Vaquera, Tiffany Stratton, same thing on the women's side. They'll be looking for that giant belt that is probably going to cover their entire torso. John Cena gets AJ Styles. And as AJ Styles looks forward to beating up John Cena again, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are taking on the Kabuki Warriors. I would imagine we'll probably see one more card because you can't go and have 6 matches on the WPLE anymore. It's high price, low output. But still, going to be some great matches. And Cody taking on Seth, man, those two are just fantastic in the ring together. So looking forward to seeing that coming at you from Perth, Australia. So make sure you check your times on that when the show will be starting for you. Because remember, they're in Australia. That is a massive time difference. So get ready for that. And Wrestle Dream is starting to shape up too. We had a very interesting promo, kind of a slumber party promo, I guess, with Tony Storm and Chris Statlander. They're going to be facing off for sure at Wrestle Dream on the 18th. Hangman Adam Page is going to get Samoa Joe. And I without commenting, let's go Joe. I want Joe with that title back. And Darby Allin and John Moxley will be in an I Quit match. Boy, you thought that the Texas Death match was bad. Just imagine what could be coming in an I Quit match. Because it's not really either of their styles to quit, in case you haven't noticed. So get ready. That, and of course, so many other matches I'm sure will be set up for Wrestle Dream coming up here on Dynamite and, Title Tuesday. And then, of course, the special edition of Collision on Wednesday. I don't know quite how that works, but hey, whatever. It's all good. Tony's got it covered. So should be a terrific week of pro wrestling. So get ready, everybody. It's going to be a blast. And I want to thank everybody for joining us here today on the Mark Hoke Show, no matter where you are. Would greatly appreciate if you give us a follow on X at Mark Hoke Show, Facebook and YouTube, the Mark Hoke Show. And, of course, we got our podcasts out there on Podbean. Got to get that updated. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. But we do have our podcasts out there as well. So make sure you check those out. And otherwise, guys, thanks to Coach Rosey for coming on. Thanks for Steve Maclin for taking the time and to join us, and for Ross Warner and TNA for setting that up. And that interview, by the way, on its own is now also up on our YouTube channel if you want to take a look. Guys, we'll see you next week on the Mark Hoke Show here on KDAWN 101.5 FM, the talk of Las Vegas. It is the best in pro wrestling. And I appreciate every one of you coming to join us. And by the way, don't forget thetravelshark.com/Hoke Show. Get those hotel rooms booked right now for WrestleMania. Don't wait. Great prices. Skip the employee prices, the mystery pricing. It's powered by Priceline. You'll love it. thetravelshark.com/Hoke Show. We'll see you next week, everybody. Have a good one.
Want more of The Mark Hoke Show? Follow us on Twitter at Mark Hoke Show, like us on Facebook at The Mark Hoke Show, and visit markhokeshow.com to keep up with everything happening with the show. And remember to check out all of our archive shows on YouTube at The Mark Hoke Show, and download our podcasts at markhokeshow.podbean.com and all your favorite podcast outlets. So join The Mark Hoke Show family today, and thanks for listening.